Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. And, I like to talk about the Atlanta Falcons just a little bit. I call them the Titans South. We're going to get into that a little later. But,
Yeah.
I figured who would be best to talk about the Atlanta Falcons? Yes, I went to Nashville. I got one-on-one beats. Dolewite coming
Yes.
through to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. What's going on, man?
To talk about disappointment. I'm supposed to be away from the disappointment right now in June, but here we are talking about how disappointed I'm going to be in this upcoming season. So it's good to be here, though, Mike, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, of course, man, I'm gonna go down the list. Why I call them Titan South. They
With good
have
reason.
Cam. Yes, they have
Yeah.
Cam Batson, the wide receiver. He was the most recent signing. As a
Yes.
wide receiver, the Titans to the Falcons. You got Rashawn Evans, linebacker,
Yep.
Titans to the Falcons. You got Anthony Fursker, tight end, Titans to the Falcons. Marcus Mariota, he had one stop in not Oakland, Las Vegas, and now he's with the Falcons. You got Jeremy McNichols, Titans to the Falcons. You got let's see, and I got some more too. Let's see, Parker Hess. He was a tight end on the practice squad 2019, 2020. Now he's with the Falcons. Bo Brinkley, long snapper. He was a long snapper for 9 years here in Nashville. Of course, signed with the Falcons this offseason.
Yes. And, of course, our head coach.
Yep, defensive coordinator too.
Yeah. Yes.
And I believe the offensive coordinator as well.
Okay.
And then also I got Anthony Rush, who was a defensive tackle that bounced around the league, played with the Titans last in 2020, and then signed with the Falcons 2021. Been there, and they're rumored to be getting potentially or thinking of, I should say, Quentin Spain, who used to play for the Titans as well, bounced around a little bit, and now he's being rumored to go to the Falcons. What can you say about all this? Yes, offensive guard.
It's laughable almost. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like if the Titans don't want somebody, they just send them a couple hours down the road. Like the Falcons will pick them up. It's cool. If you get cut from the Titans, you can't even at this point. You probably have a career with the Falcons. So if you get cut, it's cool. Just take 24 to 75 South and you'll find a job. I mean, I get that our coaching staff knows a lot of these players from their time here, but the coaching staff doesn't sign the players. That's the general manager. You know what I mean? He's from New Orleans. It's unlike anything I've seen. I wish somebody would go back and look at the stats and see if any team has ever just dumped players to another team like this before in the past. I don't recall anything like this in my 40 years of watching football. So this is it's unlike anything I've seen, but that's the Falcons for you. You know what I mean? And we had an interesting offseason to say the least. The only team that could prevent us from going all the way up in flames was the Cleveland Browns, and they're the ones that signed Deshaun Watson and not us. So that was the one good thing that happened, is that we got out losered by the Browns, I guess. But other than that, man, I'm not looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be pretty ugly for us, to be honest with you.
Well, I know they'll compete. We know that. And that Arthur Smith said it's not a rebuild. We're going to fight. We're going to see what happens.
What team has ever said, yes, we're rebuilding, though? Like, has that ever happened? Has anybody ever said, look, we're just burning this thing down and we're not trying to win any games? Nobody says that. So he has to say that,
Right. You just walk in the company line.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. Of course, last season was a bittersweet ending with Julio Jones coming to Tennessee. Now, a lot of people
that worked out for us.
Yeah, it did. Definitely. Of course, he had his worst season of his career, 31 receptions, only played 10 games, 434 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Wow.
I mean, did you see that bad a season coming for him?
I did this with you, I think around the same time last year, which is crazy because it was right when the Titans got Julio. And I thought that he'd be able to bounce back because he had a hamstring thing the year before. I'd be lying if I said I thought you were going to get one of his best years. I didn't think that would be possible. But I just don't think he was able to bounce back from the injuries. I think his body was just giving out on him. He was that age. He had caught a lot of balls, taken a lot of hits at that point. So it's not surprising to me. I wish he would go back to Atlanta and just retire a Falcon. Obviously, his numbers going up in our Ring of Honor, and he'll get all of those accolades. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll go into the Hall of Fame as a Falcon. I would have liked to have seen him win one. And obviously he almost did. But Julio, I mean, it was sad to see him that's not the Julio that we got to watching as Falcons fans. So the Titans, they took a chance, and I think it was a good gamble on their part. I know John Robinson probably takes a lot of heat for signing Julio last year, but I mean, the risk was probably bigger than the reward. I mean, I think the risk was worth what could have been the reward if Julio could have bounced back and been Julio, So
yeah, definitely. But it is what it is.
Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we had Todd Gurley a couple years ago. I feel like it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just like you take a chance sometimes on these guys that have had great careers and have had huge talent, and then they get injured, and they're not the same anymore, and that's for all of us, So, we had Todd Gurley. I was back in the day. We've had a couple of those kind of guys. Steven Jackson we had for a couple of years. And,
right. They was there.
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, it's just you take chances on those guys sometimes, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. And it just didn't work out for Julio in Tennessee.
Gotcha.
You'll never hear me say anything bad about Julio Jones. I mean, that's my guy. There's an autographed Julio football somewhere behind me here. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably my favorite player of all time, with the exception of maybe Deion Sanders. So,
Gotcha. Prime time.
Yeah.
Prime time. Now, so you think what's next for Julio? You'd want to see him come there and retire and just call it a day, right?
Yeah, just call it a day, man. I mean, just sign a one-day contract and call it a day, and receive your accolades and live in Atlanta for the rest of your life as a hero, because you are to us.
Now there is a question. There is a thought that he could go visit and hang out with a former Atlanta Falcon in Indianapolis too. There is that thought out there.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think honestly, just watching the games, I think that Julio and Matt were not the same after the Super Bowl. I don't know what could have happened in that scenario, but just watching them just on the sidelines and stuff, it just wasn't the same as watching them before the Super Bowl. I think after that game, after 28-3, that whole team was never the same. We made the playoffs the next year, and honestly probably should have beat Philadelphia, but that was the year Philadelphia won it all. We should have beaten Philadelphia that game. We should have beaten New England that game if Kyle Shanahan would have called the right plays. But I just don't think anybody on that team was ever the same, and just never the same after that.
Now, I want to say this to one specific listener, my boy, Danny Thompson. I did not bring up 28-3. I just wanted to be known on this show. I did not bring it up. But going on to another big gun for the Falcons that did leave, and of course did leave this offseason, Matt Ryan. You got traded after the Falcons kind of bumbled up trying to get Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So what was your immediate reaction in terms of feeling for Matt Ryan?
It was strange for me, because Matt Ryan was not going to win again in Atlanta. It was we're done. We were done. You know what I mean? Like, he had nothing around him. I think Matt Ryan can still play pretty good ball, and if I'm a Titans fan, I'm a little bit nervous about Indy, to be honest with you, because if Frank Reich's offense, if Matt fits Frank Reich's offense, he can still put up some numbers, and he's gonna do some damage, and you're gonna notice it's gonna be a noticeable difference from Carson Wentz. I mean, you look at Matt Ryan throughout his career, he had a different offensive coordinator every couple of years. And the one time that they actually had a great offensive coordinator, he was MVP and should have won the Super Bowl. You know, if Frank Reich is a great offensive mind like he's supposed to be, I'm a little nervous if I'm a Titans fan. I think with that team around him, if the offensive line can keep him standing up, he's still got we won 7 games last year, the Falcons did, and we had nothing except Matt Ryan. He didn't have any receivers. Julio was gone and Calvin Ridley was gone, and he had a rookie tight end who, by the way, is probably, from what it looks like, is going to be a stud tight end for a career. But I mean, that's all he had was this kid that he had never worked with before. So I think with what he's got in Indy, I think it's a better team for him. So I'm happy to see him go to a team that can compete. But you're also kind of sad because, like, this was our guy. He's won more games, and he the best years of us as a franchise are all Matt Ryan years, you know what I mean? With the exception of the 99, 98 Super Bowl team, who was head up by Chris Chandler, that as much as I love the Falcons, like, I never believed they were going to beat John Elway on his last game, right? Like, Matt Ryan, like, we thought we were going to, for a minute there, thought we were going to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Matt Ryan saw us through the best years of our you know, as me as a fan, and to see him go hurts, but I'm still, Titans fans aren't going to like this, but, you know, be rooting for Indy to do some damage. Like, I wouldn't mind, like, if Matt Ryan won in Indy, I would not be mad at it. I would be happy for him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, you know, two things can be true. I can be hurt to see him go, and I can be glad to see him go at the same time. And I think that's where I am with that.
Right. And then, of course, you know, with the Falcons, it was time to move on. It's time to rebuild, you know, and you've got to let the last piece go. Now, I would say the next to last piece, because I know Deion Jones, once he recovers from that shoulder surgery, that the Falcons are trying to get rid of him too.
You think so? I think
yes.
I was surprised Grady Jarrett they restructured Grady Jarrett's deal, which was good. And I would love to see Grady Jarrett be a Falcon forever, because not many people know this because they have different last names, but his father is actually Jesse Tuggle, who is our greatest linebacker of all time. So to have a father and son combo like that play their entire careers out as Falcons would be amazing. But we got AJ Terrell, and AJ Terrell is a stud, man. He's one of, you know, probably a top 5 corner in the league. So that's something we can build on. I do like Dean Pease as a defensive coordinator. I think that last season the defense played as good as that defense could possibly play. I feel like he got every ounce out of that defense, and I think they'll be better this year. That's the only thing that scares me is I'm hoping to kind of tank a little bit. You know what I mean? I want to be in the top 5 picks, and I feel like our defense could win us a few extra games that we should not win. But other than that, like, it'll be exciting to see. I think if there's anything there with Desmond Ridder, which we can get into that as to why we went with Desmond Ridder over Malik Willis, but I don't know why.
Oh, we can definitely get into that. You know, that was actually my next question.
Go for it.
Did you see them picking Desmond Ridder over Malik Willis, the hometown guy?
A hometown guy won, and I think the other thing was we took this kid Troy Anderson out of, I want to say, like, South Dakota or something. He's a linebacker, and we could have had, and the name is slipping my mind now. It was a linebacker from Georgia that went to, I think he ended up going to Philly.
Nakobe Dean.
Yes, Dean. Yeah, and Dean was a UGA kid that we could have had over Troy Anderson. Malik Willis, a hometown kid, that we could have had over Desmond Ridder. And you look at these guys, and I'm going to compare them for their entire career, and it's like, if Malik Willis turns out to be better than Desmond Ridder, if Dean turns out to be better than Anderson, it's not a good look for you know, our GM at that point. You know what I mean? It's like you could have had these two guys that would have put, you know, butts in seats because people wanted to see Malik Willis play, a hometown kid that reminds people of Michael Vick. You know, Atlanta would have fallen in love with that kid from day one. And then Dean, who of course was a UGA kid, and the UGA Atlanta Falcons fans seem to, you know, merge quite a bit. This is something a lot of them have in common. You had the chance to put not just to have, these talented guys on your team, but also talented guys from the area that are familiar with the area that would have sold tickets as well. So, that's not going to be a good look at all if Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder, and if Nakobe Dean turns out to be better than Troy Anderson. So, I'm going to root for the guys in red and black no matter what. That one's tough, though. That one's tough. That one's tough.
Now, I will say, of course, that since Malik is from the area in Atlanta, would you say you're probably rooting for him to do well?
Yeah, I am. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. I mean, I think from what I've heard about Malik Willis, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I've watched a ton of Liberty football games, but what I've heard about Malik Willis is that he's not ready to go now, but he has every bit of talent and every bit of physical attribute that you need to be successful. So yeah, I'm gonna root for him. Yeah, I hope that he does well here.
Yeah, I actually got to see him last week.
Yeah, I saw your video with him, man. Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him kind of go through his drills, things like that, and he asked a lot of questions, which is a very good thing for a quarterback coming into the NFL.
Yeah, and that's a good attitude to have too. And so you look at that and you think like, oh God, like this, we could have had this kid. You know what I mean? Like he was there. We picked Ridder, but I mean, we'll see. Maybe Ridder's that guy. If he is, I'll be happy with him. But a hometown guy wearing probably, what is he wearing? Number 7? Does Malik wear number 7?
I believe he's wearing number 7.
I mean, come on, man. Come on, man.
Now, I'll say this too. Desmond Ridder, I believe he won them over. The rumor out there is that he won them over because he actually gave a detailed plan to how he'd take over and win a job from a veteran. So that's how I believe he got picked over Malik Willis.
Wow. And I've heard great things about Desmond Ridder too. I've heard some great things. I mean, what was Cincinnati before Desmond Ridder was there? You know what I mean? They weren't winning like that. He's one of the most, I believe, one of the winningest quarterbacks in college football history. We might have the guy in Desmond Ridder. We'll probably know this season. I don't know that. Did Mariota ever play a full 16 games?
He never played. No. He I believe he did a couple times here, but it just, he's always dinged up though.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I would think that Ridder will get a chance, if not a few chances, to play this year. If nothing else, that after week 6 or 7 and we won one game, throw him in there and see what you got, to see if when you do pick at the top of the draft, do you need to pick a quarterback or not. I think he'll get some time to play this year. I don't think we're really playing for anything.
We shall indeed see. Well, yeah. It's time. It's time for the game.
All right.
I've got 2 choices for you. You got to pick one.
This hurts.
Michael Vick or Matt Ryan?
That's tough. It shouldn't be tough, but for me, it's. I loved Michael Vick when he played, but it's Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan won us more games, and most importantly, didn't go to the federal penitentiary. So I'm gonna go with Matt Ryan there. Although I was, if you'd asked me that in 2002, I was a diehard Michael Vick fan. So, but Matt Ryan for sure.
All right, Warrick Dunn or Michael Turner?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Michael Turner, man. When Michael Turner was dominant when he was with those few years, Warrick Dunn was a great compliment to Michael Vick, and he was a great player. But Michael Turner was like dominant. Like you had to plan for him because he could run over you, run around you, run for 50, 60 yards out of nowhere, to take it to the house. So I go Michael Turner with that.
All right, we're going to go coaches, Dan Quinn or Mike Smith?
None of the above. Dan Quinn took us to the Super Bowl, and I think what Dan Quinn did well that one season was that he really inspired the defense and had them playing like way better than they should have played. And then I think that when you're an energy guy, when you're a team guy, when you're a player's coach, that can only last for so long. And eventually, you know, if your whole coaching plan is inspiration and not X's and O's, which I think is what it was with Dan Quinn, that wears off. So I go Dan Quinn just because he did have those 2 really good seasons, and he was smart enough to put Kyle Shanahan in place as an offensive coordinator. So, but also not smart enough to hire Matt LaFleur to replace Kyle Shanahan, and instead went with Steve Sarkisian. But I go Dan Quinn.
All right, we got 2 defensive ends that didn't necessarily pan out the greatest in Atlanta.
All right,
Jamal Anderson or Vic Beasley Jr.
Vic Beasley Jr. led the league. Vic Beasley Jr. led the league in sacks for 1 season, and Jamal Anderson did nothing ever. So I go with Vic Beasley Jr. for the 1 season that he played. He had that 1 good season, and Dwight Freeney was on the other side of him. And I think Dwight Freeney had his ear and just had him playing out of his mind, because the minute Dwight Freeney left, Vic Beasley did nothing, as you guys know in Tennessee. So yeah, you should have hired Dwight Freeney to talk to him or something. Yeah.
Well, I will say this: Chuck Smith definitely didn't give him a ringing endorsement when he was talking about him a couple times.
No.
He went in.
Yeah,
he went in.
I gotta watch that.
And let's see, last one. Okay, we're gonna go former star running backs that became Atlanta Falcons: Steven Jackson or Todd Gurley Jr.
I want to say I had to go back and look at the stats. I think Steven Jackson may have had a better year with us, but I don't know.
I didn't say the questions are going to be easy.
Yeah, no. I guess I go Steven Jackson there. I don't know. That's tough. I don't think either one of them hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. So I go with Steven Jackson, I guess.
All right. Well, you know, I got to go to the touring the AFC South inbox. I got my boy TJ Beatty. That was my guy, was my teammate in college. So
okay.
He said Jamal Anderson did nothing. Are you serious? I think he's getting mixed up with the other Jamal Anderson.
Yeah. So we had a defensive end that it was a pick 8, which we had a pick 8 this year, which always scares me about pick 8. But he was a defensive end, Jamal Anderson, not the Dirty Bird. The Dirty Bird, Jamal Anderson is. I follow him on Instagram to this day. Like that's, you know, he's a legend. But the other Jamal Anderson is not a legend at all. We also had another defensive tackle or defensive end that we picked early in the first round too. I think his name was like Peoria Jerry or something like that, and he didn't pan out either.
I know you're talking about.
It was almost to the point where like we needed defensive linemen, but I was like, just don't take one in the draft because they just don't pan out for us at all.
And then he also said, bro, Warwick Dunn was crazy. Hey, he was, but Michael the Burner Turner,
man, he take it to the house on you quick, man. Man, quick. Yeah. The first, I think 3 seasons that he played for us he was insane, man. He was a killer. So I like Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn could catch the ball out of the backfield. He was a great back. He could do it all, but I go with Michael Turner there all day.
All right. Well, you know, that I guess concludes all we have for this episode. Do you want to give everyone where they can reach you? I know I didn't mention iHeartRadio. Of course, I got to mention iHeartRadio, where they can go and hit the mic and leave you a message.
That's right. There you have it. Yeah, the talkback feature. Yes, it's brand new. But you can check me out on 101.1 The Beat. If you're in Nashville, it's 101.1 on your FM dial. If you're on the iHeartRadio app, or you know, tell Alexa to play 101.1 The Beat on the iHeartRadio app. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Dolewite 101, DOLEWITE 101. I think my TikTok is the same, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I post a lot of TikToks because I do not. And also my podcast. Check out the Dolewite podcast. That's available on the iHeartRadio app, every place you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and catch me, you know, cursing out the Falcons all football season long, because that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a tough season.
Well, you can't tell them what you do have coming up if you want to next week, because I'm looking forward to that one and the one you previously had as well.
Oh, you talking about the Nashville SC game? Yes.
On the podcast.
Oh, on the podcast, yes. Slim Huskies this week. That'll drop Wednesday morning, and then I've got Mignon Francois of the Cupcake Collection the week after. And you can also, speaking of Nashville SC, since I brought it up, you can catch me spinning the Nashville SC game on Father's Day, June 19th. I'll be DJing that game as well. If you haven't been to Geodis Park yet, it's a very dope experience. I'm not somebody that grew up watching soccer much, but I think I can definitely get into this. And since there wasn't an Atlanta team that I watched growing up, I'm a Nashville SC fan. So it's nice to jump into a new sport with a new team and, go for them. So that's what we're doing.
I hear you there. Are you playing techno music? Because are you playing techno music?
I don't play techno music, but it might, it's a little more diverse than what I'm used to playing for sure. I actually, the last game I played a lot of Afro beats, and I played like a lot of like Latin music as well. Not exactly knowing what the crowd was going to be, so I just downloaded a little bit of everything and got it popping. So looking forward to this next one for sure.
And all those that are at the game, pay attention because he might have the Nashville SC mascot over dancing with him.
Yeah.
I'm talking about your daughter.
My daughter, yes, my daughter will be there on this day. They asked me to give them 4 dates that I could DJ. At the beginning of the season, I just looked at the schedule. I didn't look at the calendar, and the first date that I picked was Mother's Day, which awesome for a married guy like myself. And then the second date I picked was Father's Day. And then like the third, I think the last one I picked was September 3rd, which is like the day we're having my daughter's birthday party as well. So like I did a really good job picking these dates for this summer. But I had a ball doing it, and the atmosphere at Geodis Park is beautiful as well. So go see a game. It's dope. And the tickets are they're reasonable too, which is for pro sports these days is not the case. So check us out.
Yeah, I might have to think about that. I won't have to sell an arm and a leg to get there.
Yes, they have tickets for like $20. Or some tickets are low, like $25, and there's not a bad seat in the house. So yeah,
I got my pen out over here. I'm taking notes.
Yeah,
but that is my episode for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, watching. You've been listening and watching this from the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.